Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Pastor Covington, and this is another edition of Conversations with Covington. Glad you joined me today, and it's a great day, as my guest would say, in the neighborhood. So let's get right down to it. Today, I'm blessed to have with me in conversation Brother Seneca Rogers, who is presently on our local school board, but is also running to be a part of a full term on our local school board. So greetings, my brother.
Hey, greetings to you, Reverend Covington. I appreciate you having me.
Let's get right down to the conversation. How's the campaign going?
Campaign's going really good. A lot of excitement around it. A lot of moments of meeting folks. And like you said, I'm always out in the neighborhood. So I always appreciate meeting people, them getting a chance to get to know me, talk to me, voice what concerns they have. But I want folks to really know who Seneca Rogers is, besides just I'm on the school board or I'm running for the school board, because I feel like then that's going to have them invested in what I want to bring and continue to do on the school board.
Who is Seneca Rogers?
Well, Seneca Rogers grew up here in Alamance County. As I say sometimes on my Facebook posts, I'm just a kid from East Burlington. Just a kid from East Burlington. And one of my friends a long time ago was like, you know, you're more than just a kid from East Burlington. But I told them I used that because growing up in East Burlington, a lot of folks tell you at times that there are certain things you're not going to accomplish. There's certain things that you're already against growing up in East Burlington. There's certain things that people are going to see you and just say, oh, he's just another East Burlington kid. There's not much that's going to happen. So I put that as a way of showing other kids from East Burlington, a kid from Graham, Pleasant Grove, Mebane, that there's so much that you can do and there's so much that can go on in your life. I mean, I'm a member of Archers Grove United Church of Christ, been out there with Reverend Thompson for a while. Graduate of Cummins High School, graduate of North Carolina A&T, married to my wife Shakitha now, going on 15 into our 16th year of marriage. And I'm an uncle, I'm a brother, I'm a son to two great parents that instilled in me that my education is always going to be with me. So that's why I want to always instill into our next generation as much as possible.
What sort of led you to pursue being a part of the school board?
Well, what led me to it is I started attending our school board meetings because when I was at A&T, I was a part of a mentoring group and being a part of meeting with these young folks who were in high school at the time and seeing what life situations they had come from. And then when I moved back here from college, I was a volunteer track coach at Cummins for a while. And there was some of the young folks on our team where they would be talking to me about some of the struggles they were going through in school, but then outside of school. And so I wanted to be a part of a solution, understanding that there is problems, but also knowing that there's opportunities. So I wanted to be a part of what can I do to make things better for our next generation? What can I do to be an advocate for public education? What can I do to be an advocate for our teachers and our administrators in this community as a whole? Because I was talking to so many people that felt like they didn't have a voice in what was going on. And so I wanted to be that voice for them. I wanted to show them that there's somebody who's listening to you and is willing to step up to that plate. At first, I wanted to stay in the background. I was willing to just show up to the school board meetings, make public comments to stuff, but not put myself out there. And then just one day I just said, why am I waiting on somebody else to do it when I'm well capable of doing it myself? And so I went ahead and threw my hat in the ring and it's been going after it ever since.
Excellent. Okay. Now you're on the school board. As you know, our local public school system have really been going through some changes.
Yes.
And most school boards seemingly in the nation have been going through some changes. But let's just talk about ABSS. Mm-hmm. In terms of the mold issue and the financial stuff, where are we with that from your perspective?
With the mold things, I feel like we're in a good place. I think the mold situation, it was not a new situation. I know it popped up last year and it did hinder the start of school, but as a person who went to ABSS and is seen things in our schools for a long time. I knew that there was upkeep issues, maintenance issues in our schools. So it was not a shock to me, but it was, I guess, a shock to the fact of the magnitude of it.
Oh, okay.
And but I feel like right now we learned from that as a school system and are doing things differently. And our chief operations officer, Greg Hook, and his team in maintenance have done a lot of things to make sure we didn't run into that same issue over the summer. And they have plans in place on preventative measures and also continuous maintenance. We're changing out a lot of HVAC units, doing things with our roofs, putting in new windows in places. Right now we got humidifiers in schools to help with a lot of that moisture and things. And one of the big things that they did over the summer and when we are not in school is just kept the AC running, because they would lower the AC or turn it off during times in the summer over the weekends. And of course there was a money saver, but at the end of the day, what money did we save because of the fact that we had to pay out so much to go in there and do the remediations and things they had to do for the cleanup of the mold. So I think we're in a better place right now to make sure that we don't run into that again, but it's always a continuous effort. We have to continue that effort all the time in the maintenance of our schools. As far as our finances, the finances was a tough thing. And as more and more going through it, once we brought in our interim superintendent, Dr. Harrison, and more folks in the finance team started working through things and working through where we were at financially, there was tough decisions that had to be made, and a lot of decisions that honestly, myself personally, I didn't want to happen, but I knew they had to happen just to try to set us back in a balanced place. So then we can get out of the holes that we're in to then hopefully in the future move forward and start adding back a lot of things that are impactful to our students, because there's a lot of positions and things that had to be cut out or moved around or not filled so we could get to a better place financially. But I don't minimize any of what those positions were, because those all were impactful positions. But when you start talking about our finances, I think a lot of things that we have to talk about is the continuous underfunding of our school system. That's done happened throughout the years.
Let's explore that. Let's explore where that is presently from your standpoint.
Presently, I feel like our state does not do what they're supposed to do for public education.
Okay.
I mean, there is a case at our state level that's been going on for almost like 30 some years. It started back in 1994, 95, that's called the Leandro case. And basically it was found that the state of North Carolina is not holding up their end of getting kids a sound basic education as far as public education goes. So they're going against our state constitution. And right now the legislators and just throughout the years just continue to kick the can down the road, still have not met what has been laid out in that case for what should be done as far as the funding of public education. And if we continue to underfund public education, we're going to continue to be in these financial situations. I mean, if you look across our state, there's a lot of districts that had to cut positions, not fill vacancies, not do things as far as paying teachers, cut out certain programs and stuff because of the financial burdens that continues to be put on. And you having to ask your county commissioners to pick up for those shortfalls that are not happening from the state. But the state is the main pot of money that's supposed to come to public education. And then just this year, they upped and expanded the opportunity scholarships that's giving money over to private schools. And just talking about here in Alamance County, because of that, we're going to be missing out on about $4.5 to $4.6 million that would have came to public education. And so that's a tough pill to swallow, especially in these times where we're knowing that it's continuous underfunding of our school system.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit, let's go down that road just a bit. Is there a general perception that public school, because they're not meeting what they need to meet in terms of educating children, that we're finding parents across the state withdrawing their children from public schools and placing them in private schools or parochial schools or Christian schools or what have you, for the sake of a better education?
I mean, you're seeing parents take their kids over to like charter schools, private schools, Christian schools, but we still have about anywhere from 85% of our students are still in the public education. And I think this is a moment where public education has to continue to fight through and show that we are the best choice for your child to be a part of. Because I mean, there's so many opportunities in public education. Just here at ABSS, through our C-Tech program, you have kids who are learning a lot of things from web design, graphic design, automotive, construction, cooking skills. I know a bunch of kids who are in welding right now, and a lot of kids that comes out with certain certifications through our partnerships with ACC, with the Career College Promise programs, partnerships that we got with Elon that are happening daily through our public education system, that allows for our students to have so much opportunity that sometimes in the private schools are not there. And that's no knock to a private school or a charter school. I mean, I think all of them have to be a part of educating our kids. I have no problem with any of them at all. Like these choices for parents have been there for a while.
Sure.
Like even homeschooling, all of these options have been there for parents to choose from a while. And parents still should be able to have those choices because they know their kids and things. But my biggest issue with it is when you take away money from public education to put over to another place, and then you're not going to hold them to the same standards that you hold public education to. And then that's where I feel like if we're giving over our public dollars, then they should be under those same standards. They should be having to report out these certain report cards and things too. And then also with some of these schools, they don't have to accept every child. Like public education is going to accept every child, regardless of whatever their situations are at home, whatever they're bringing into the school. And we're going to accept all of them because it's public education. We need to accept all of them. And I feel like your public education is also a microcosm of what your public looks like and what your community looks like. So I'm always going to be big and an advocate for public education. And I think that we need more people to stand up and be a part of that.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. Going back to two things. Going back to finances, you talked about state. What is your perception of how you guys as ABSS, as a board, gets along with the present county commission? Now, I know we're in a political season, so some seats may change, whatever, but the present, what has been your history?
The history, I feel like at one point it was a good working relationship, but I feel like over this past year, it had its tensions at times, where I think there was opportunity for more partnership, and I think some of them was missed. And especially like going back to the moments with the mold, because I felt like at that moment, it was a clear opportunity for everybody everybody got around the table and everybody came in to talk. But I felt like that was the real opportunity to show the community how we're going to jump into all this together and we're going to all work at this together. And I'm not saying that the whole complete boards was not trying to do that. It might have been a couple of members here, a couple of members there that were a little bit at odds with each other at times. But I feel like we still have an opportunity to really work together. We're about to have a new superintendent, and like you said, it's going to be an election season. We have an opportunity to really reset and to really work on that relationship between us and the county commissioners, because if we continue to be at odds with each other, we're not helping out the community at all, and they're going to continue to see those divides. But I think everybody has to come to the table with that opportunity of real collaborative motions. It can't be these moments of, okay, let's work together, and then the next time when it's an opportunity for that, there's shots being thrown and moments of trying to point the finger and stuff, because to me that doesn't work out for everybody. And I think it has to happen from both ends. It can't just be one end saying like, okay, let's collaborate, and then the other end not coming to the table. I think everybody has to jump in on that collaboration and really work together.
Will our school system be starting with a deficit?
We will currently right now. That's what we last were told was about a deficit. But what we're hopeful to is getting in some monies from the state that end up clearing out that deficit for us. But which is a part of funding that we get every year. So we're hoping that once that comes in, that we can clear out that deficit and start working through things and everything and really be back at that even spot coming into the school year. But we need for the state to go ahead and finish out their budget process, because they're right now going through their budget discussions and sessions and things and haven't came to a complete agreement on what their budget's going to look like.
Now, are we coming off some mismanagement as it relates to funding and money management as it relates to the local school board?
I don't think that we're coming off a moment of mismanagement. I think it's more of a moment of just having to ask those questions and being clear on what information is being given over to the school board. I think that's what possibly was missed at times, is the clear information of where we were financially and having a real understanding of that. But like I said too, I think a lot of it just comes from the fact of school systems been having to work with underfunding for so long that you continue to work in a space where you're not getting as much as what you need. And I think as a school board going forward, as a school system going forward, and not just ABSS, but all of them, we have to put out there what is really needed, what is really working for our kids, and not just continue to settle for the fact of, okay, this is what y'all gonna give us, we're just gonna make it work. I mean, I know that's what it's been in the past, but I think we have to really start in the future talking and advocating for, this is what we really need. This is what it really takes to run a school system. This is what we're trying to do. This is what impact is going to have on our kids. These are the outcomes and achievements we're looking for these things. And then you can be in a better space. And I think then you can have more people who are at the table with you that want to see that happen. Because at the end of the day, I think everybody wants a lot of the same things. You want a safe community to live in. You want to be able to provide for your families. And you want a strong school system for your community.
Because that helps produce a great workforce.
Yes.
And a lot of just manufacturing base and a lot of jobs are settling in the area and they're looking for particular skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think if we have everybody who's on board for that, they can start to be a thing of the future if everybody gets back to that space.
Now, one of our state senators, I think, calls for an investigation. Has that process ended, and what are the results of that?
As far as I know, it has ended. The report was put out there, and it seemed like the report just focused on the mold situation, because it did talk about how the mold situation was handled, how certain things came out from that, and what all was spent out from those moments. And I think it did state that at times that the school system might not have followed everything that it was supposed to follow. But for me personally, it was an emergency. The fact that how we're going to get our kids back into school, how we're going to clean this up and make sure our schools were safe. So you had to work at a quick pace. You could not work at a slow down, because it was already about to delay the start of school. So that report has been put out there. The information has been put out. Myself, I thought really that it was possibly going to go into more information, because especially me being new to the board, I'm just getting on there in December. Right. I still wanted to understand what possibly had put us in that situation as far as what we were in financially. And it, like I said, it really gave more information just around the handling of the mold situation.
All right. August 26th, beginning of school. Will schools be ready from a building standpoint and from a teacher personnel standpoint? Are we ready day one?
Yeah, we're ready day one. We're still going through right now. Our human resources area has been working hard this whole summer, from the end of the school year, getting positions filled. I was just at a leadership retreat this past week talking to our principals and assistant principals. They're ready. They're still working through things, getting things started, prepared. Our teachers are going to be ready to get into the school. As far as facilities wise, our schools are going to be ready for our kids to start there on August 26th. Our staff is going to be ready. They're getting themselves prepared for this upcoming school year. Of course, coming into a school year, just like any other years in the past, we'll possibly still have some spots that are still vacant. But as far as I know from our HR area, they're going to continue to work to get things filled. Our principals, assistant principals, they're going to work to make sure that things are covered for our students and go into a great school year.
All right. Well, we're starting the school year off. I think our new superintendent will be in place in September. And of course, Mr. Harrison is the interim, who has been here before. I know the vote came, and I think it was only one person voted against the superintendent because I think, according to what I read, that they were anti, but they would have wished that the person would have had superintendent experience. And I think that person liked that. I think it's Dr. Fleming liked that. So obviously you voted for that individual. So where are you in that, do you think?
Their no vote was around that he didn't have any principal experience.
That's what I meant.
And so I understood it, because when we did our survey, that was a big thing that was on our survey, especially from staff. And so I understand that they want somebody with that experience. I mean, hey, I wanted somebody with that experience also. I do think with Dr. Fleming, though, his experience that he does have as being a director over career and technical education in 2 different districts, and he's been down in his district as a superintendent for 7.5 years now. I think he's going to have great experience on supporting our principals and assistant principals. And he's already been here a couple of times in the district, meeting with them. I want to say that he's going to actually be here on the first day of school, visiting some of the schools himself too, to meet with folks and trying to get around and meet with as many people as possible and let them know that he's here to support us and support our school system, teachers, our APs, and our principals a lot. I voted for him. I feel like he's going to be effective in the job. And I wanted somebody who was going to be effective in the job and was going to come in with some experience of what it is to be a superintendent. And so that was my yes vote for him, because I had to sit there and think about it myself, because each one of us as individual board members, you have to go with your convictions and what you feel. I did want him to have that experience too, because I understood what that means for our assistant principals and principals and their supports. So I don't want to bypass and overlook that. No, he doesn't have it. But in the process of talking with him, I got an understanding of what he's done while he's been a superintendent in Harnett. So I think he's going to do a really good job. And that's what I had to think about when I was voting for him. Is he going to be effective as being a superintendent? Is this a person who can do the job and do the job well? And I think he will.
All right. Well, as we move toward wrapping things up, we're in the political season. You're running, and so just talk to us about your campaign and what's happening and why you want to continue to be a part of ABSS School Board.
Yeah, I want to be a part of ABSS School Board because I want more time. I want more time to be on here. I want a full term of being in the school board. I feel like right now, in the time that I've been on there in December, I've shown people who I am as a school board member. I've shown people who I am just as a person also, and how I'm gonna continue to stand up for public education. I tell people when I'm out speaking, I'm willing to stand on business for public education, stand on business for our kids, for our teachers, for those administrators in our school system, for those parents who don't have the opportunity to show up, but they need a voice in this too. I'm willing to stand on business for all of them. And I feel like that's where we have to be at in this moment. I mean, public education, as we've done had this conversation, public education is in a hard place. We're in a moment right now where we need people who are advocating for public education, who's going to continue to stand up for it. And that's what I'm going to continue to do every day, because I believe that ABSS is a great school district, and we have to work for that greatness every day because our kids deserve it. Our kids deserve for us to work hard for them. Our teachers deserve for us to stand up for them. Our APs, everyone deserves our absolute best, and that's what I bring every time when I'm on the school board, and that's what I want to bring for the next 4 years. I want to show them that Seneca Rogers, a vote for me is a vote in having that voice, is a vote for having the neighborhood at the table. I have my slogan, we are the neighborhood. And of course it is a play off of me being Mr. Rogers, but it's bigger than that. It's a true call to our community. It's a true call to, it takes a village to raise a child. And I want to be a part of that village for our kids. I want everyone to jump in and bring it all in together. Let's huddle up around our kids and around this school system, and let's get to work for them, because I'm ready to work every day for them.
Well, voting day is coming up. Early votes coming up. And of course, I want to say a word of thanks to you for taking time and for putting yourself out there and your values. It's clear to see that you have a passion for what you're doing. God bless you. This has been another edition of Conversations with Covington. I've had the opportunity to share with Seneca Rogers. He's running for a 4th term on the school board. And listen, don't just pay attention to what's going on the top of the ticket as presidential elections, but listen, local is where it's at. So make sure you go through the whole ticket, including school board. And remember to give Seneca Rogers a chance. Meet him. He is very passionate about our young people. This has been another edition of A Conversation with Covington. Have a great day.